Imagine you live alone. It's 2 in the morning and you're sitting on the couch with the news playing on the TV. Suddenly, this happens. Yeah, I'd be paralyzed in fear. This really happened back in 1989. The image stayed on the screen from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. This is a case that's been intriguing me for days now. It's never been solved whether Joanna Lopez is even a real person or not. There are so many theories to this case that could be possible, and it's honestly a roller coaster. Let's take a better look at the image. It definitely looks very uncanny and invokes fear. Ever since I saw the image, I've been on edge. The girl's face is unrecognizable because of how low quality the image is. If you look closer, you can tell that she's wearing glasses, making it look as if she has alien-like eyes. Another thing that makes this downright nightmare fuel is that during the whole 3 hours that it stayed on the screen, there is utter silence. You'd expect some kind of jump scare, but no, complete and utter silence. The fact that the screen abruptly cuts to just this. It looks as if it was intentionally unnerving, like some kind of real-life analog horror. But why would such a poor quality photo be used for a missing person broadcast? There is no other information about this girl other than the name Joanna Lopez and a phone number. In a usual missing person broadcast, there would usually be someone explaining the height of the person, eye color, where they were last seen, race, etc. So this is very confusing and has become such a big mystery that there's an entire subreddit dedicated to this case. So I want to focus on the possibility of Joanna Lopez being a real person. This is the first and most common theory I've found. Joanna came from an abusive household and ran away. Oh, by the way, this is important. This likely took place in Chicago since I believe this was the only state where the broadcast aired. I'm unsure if this is true or not, but I have heard people say that this same broadcast aired again 2 years later in 1991, making it possible that Joanna had ran away from home multiple times and they just decided to use the same photo. I think this may have been the only photo they had access to if this theory is true. This part of the video will contain an image of a dead body, so be warned. The body isn't mutilated or even bloody at all, but still, just a heads up. A Jane Doe was found dead in an alleyway during, I believe, the same year that the Joanna Lopez broadcast aired. I will now show the post-mortem image. It shows little resemblance to the black and white Joanna Lopez image. I found this on the Joanna Lopez subreddit. For most of you out there who've been following the Joanna Lopez case over the past few days, this could be a groundbreaking discovery. For those who are unfamiliar, basically, there were 2 times a missing person slide aired on the TV station WMAQ of Chicago after the station's nightly sign-off. The first airing in 1989 and a second time in 1991. I have followed this mystery since the kindling to this fire started in the comment sections of both YouTube uploads of the receptive sign-offs. Hands down, the most obvious part of this is the eerie vibe that the missing person poster gives off, given the poor quality. All the slide gives is the person's name, known as Joanna Lopez, and a defunct phone number of the former Chicago PD Youth Division. The total lack of info about her and eeriness of the photo has spread here on Reddit, with everyone trying to figure out who she is and what happened to her. But suddenly, 5 days ago, Redditor u/Proud Venting Star found a Jane Doe who resembles the very little recognizability of Joanna Lopez. The page included sketches, a forensic reconstruction, and a post-mortem photo of the cadaver. even so far as to give a description of how she ended up dead in an alleyway. As if the missing person side wasn't bone-chilling enough, the post-mortem only amplifies the nightmare fuel. Then suddenly a light bulb moment occurred. Could this corpse really be the infamous Joanna? I immediately took the photo of the reconstruction and post-mortem, along with the missing poster, and toyed around with them using PixArt. By blending the three together, it produced an uncanny resemblance with the outline of the faces. Is she Joanna Lopez? Judge amongst yourselves. Now, this is pretty unnerving. I can definitely see the resemblance, though the hair is ever so slightly different. This doesn't mean this is a false theory, however. The black and white photo could have just been slightly older when Joanna may have had a different haircut. The face shapes look very similar as well. If you were to put glasses on the deceased woman, it just resembles the Joanna Lopez image even more. Take a look at these weird lines on the Joanna Lopez image. Some have come to the conclusion that the black and white Joanna Lopez image is actually a post-mortem picture, and we could be looking at a corpse. It almost looks to be a tray of autopsy tools, and when you think about it, it almost looks like the girl is laying down. I brightened up the picture and turned up the exposure, and when you look closely, it looks like her eyes are closed under the glasses. Why, though? Who would do this? I just cannot comprehend or understand why someone would use a photo of a dead body for a missing person broadcast. Obviously, I can't say whether this theory is true or not, but it's still a possibility. A Reddit user found someone named Rachel who shared the same last name as Joanna Lopez, who went to West Chicago Community High from 1988 to 1991, who eerily resembles the missing person poster. She even went missing around the same time the broadcast aired. The shape of the glasses are even the same. Perhaps Rachel Lopez is the girl in the missing person poster. Maybe her middle name is Joanna. Rachel Joanna Lopez does sound like a nice full name. Or maybe she went by Joanna, or could have been a nickname. And the last evidence for Joanna Lopez being a real person. Reddit users Cringe Nene Baby and Bubblegum Trad were able to contact a woman named Joanna Lopez, who went missing in Chicago of 1989. She confirmed her identity yet seemed taken aback and surprised, never confirming if she was or wasn't the Joanna on the broadcast. This was all they had heard from her. An equal amount of people voted on this being the real Joanna and this not being the real Joanna. I personally don't know what to believe. Either it could be someone trolling. Remember that time someone pretended to be Pollution Entertainment? It wouldn't surprise me too much. Or this actually could be the real Joanna Lopez. It's just too coincidental how two girls named Joanna Lopez would go missing in Chicago during 1989. If this really was the Joanna Lopez from the broadcast, I'm sure this must be something very traumatizing for her to remember, which is why she's never been heard from after this. Imagine literally turning into a mystery and having literally an entire community dedicated to finding out your identity and what happened to you. I'm sure it's got to be a little frightening. Though I don't fully believe that this is Joanna Lopez, I truly want to believe, and I hope this is true. Many people do go missing and are never identified or found ever again. It would be devastating to have your case just vanish, never to have closure, and people start using a picture of you as a creepypasta. Now we will get to the theories that Joanna Lopez does not exist. Similar to the Max Headroom incident, it could have very easily been some teen working at the station who found a creepy looking photo and decided to play a big joke on everyone all over the state. The fact that a missing person broadcast aired at 2 a.m, when everyone is usually asleep, is pretty odd to me. Wouldn't it make more sense to do it when everyone's awake and watching TV? And the fact that, like I said earlier, there was no more information other than the name and the phone number is really weird. There's a huge possibility that some teen was bored and decided to scare people. The next theory is that one thing that makes a lot of sense would be that this was a test and was accidentally aired, which may explain why it came on so abruptly and stayed on the screen in complete silence for 3 hours. The entire broadcast of the missing person looks like it was put on air by accident. The image of what was shown was most likely a test of FBI VICAP missing persons partnering with a TV station. My dad worked with them in the early 2000s, and they would have blank or filler templates that FBI can use to fill missing or unidentified Jane or John Does. That picture shows no specific facial structure, no body identifiers, no details, and there is no description of where she was last seen or anything about her. Only who to contact. I call the number on the bottom and it rings forever. We get virtually nothing from the TV broadcast. Also, the picture was probably added on that placeholder not to incite fear, but to keep the image in your head. That's usually why recreations of missing or unidentified cadavers are so startling, and it's the uncanny valley and uncertainty if the clay model or sketch is even close. In this case, the black and white pops and is kept to not identify a single person. It's more jarring than a colored image, and an oven-roasted black and white scan is much cheaper, quicker, and easier than hiring a whole-ass forensic artist to recreate a model or sculpture of a face just for testing purposes. Sorry, I know I sound horrible when I'm reading things, but anyway, this makes so much sense to me, and I truly feel like all of these theories have big possibilities of being true, and though I lean more towards this particular theory, I'm not going to say that Joanna Lopez absolutely never existed. Whether you believe she is a real person or that this is a hoax, it is still something to treat with respect and should still be treated as a real missing person case until it gets solved someday. And we can only hope it does. With all that, I hope you enjoyed watching and found this just as interesting as I did. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.